We have a lot of people with us that have been there for 5-6 years who are, entering that point in their career where, they're ready for a lot more responsibility, a lot more, working with people underneath them to, do the detailed work. And, we want to make sure that those team members are in the position where they can continue their professional growth. So, we're looking right now, kind of backfilling spaces with junior and entry level roles just to facilitate the career growth of some of the phenomenal staff that we have. And it's pretty cool to see these people over the course of, since some of them right out of school and where they came from and where they are now. It's quite rewarding.
Welcome back to the workshop presented by Aplin Martin. On today's episode, I'm joined by two of the gentlemen at the helm of Aplin's Edmonton leadership team, Lindsey Trufyn, engineering lead, and Omar Abdel-Jabbar, senior project manager. While being one of the smaller Aplin Martin offices, the Edmonton office is a great example that a small headcount does not mean a shortage of knowledge and expertise. Lindsey, Omar, and I dive into what makes their team special and how the combined niche and broad range of experience makes them just right for the cities and Alberta's growing landscape. It was awesome to hear Lindsey and Omar share their working history, relationship, and stories within the industry, and I hope you all enjoy.
So before we get into kind of Edmonton and the market and such, and where you guys actually do a lot of your work, I'd like to get a little bit of a brief background. Where did you guys grow up, go to school, and then years of experience in the industry?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that one first.
That sounds good.
So I graduated U of A civil engineering in 2009. Prior to that, involved in construction for a handful of years in the summer. But for growing up, I always joke we're the only family in the history of Alberta to move to Newfoundland. So we moved to Newfoundland in the early 90s and moved back to Edmonton when I was in grade 5. So I spent like 3 years down there. And that was a lot of fun. It was very different. Mm-hmm. That's...
What was the original reason for moving out there?
My dad was working with PCL. Okay. So he was with Hibernia, that big offshore oil platform that was built at that time. Okay. So we moved down there and it was a...
And then to move back was, I guess, just again for family, for work? Or?
Yeah, my parents kept the same house and we knew it was going to be temporary. I think it turned out to be a little bit longer than they thought. But we ended up moving back and going to the same school and having the same friends.
Very cool.
Just a little...
You ever go back and visit out
I
east,
did actually. A handful of years ago, my sister got married in St. John's.
Oh, nice.
So it was really cool to go there, and my wife was with us, and just to show her where I grew up and all the things we used to do. It was a lot of fun.
How much did it change from?
A lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Any of this significant landmarks and stuff like that you're still able to recognize, or?
Oh yeah. When we were there, it was the fisheries had just collapsed. It was a very bleak time.
Okay.
But now it's like the little town we grew up in. It was like a Drayton Valley or Whitecourt, where it's just oil and gas and new car dealerships popping up all over the place, and just a little center of commerce. Very
cool. Omar, what about yourself?
I was born and raised in the Middle East. Came to Canada when I was 9 years old. I just said September 1990, 4 months after the last Oilers Stanley Cup. Sadly, they didn't win it this year again. But that's not a conversation for here nor there. I lived here for the better part of my life. Went to University of Alberta, graduated in the winter of 2006. Did some, similar to Lindsey here, some construction jobs, survey and things like that, just during co-op terms.
Yep.
And then, started my engineering journey in 2000, right after I graduated. There was an opportunity for a trip to Australia. I have 3 friends that were out there to study for chiropractic school. And I thought, when is a better time to ever go to Australia and get a chance to, park on somebody's couch and have them drive you around and show you the places. So cool. I did a month-long trip. We went out there and then came back and put on my work boots and
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Anything interesting in Australia that you still remember to this day, or is there one moment that sticks out?
I left here. It was December 24th, Christmas Eve. Flights were not so busy, which is, I guess, is good. It was minus 25, I think, when I left, and I landed there.
25.
It was 40.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I was not obviously overdressed for it, but pretty normal, I guess. New Year's Eve we celebrated in Melbourne. That's where they were stationed,
Very cool.
and it was 43 degrees at midnight when the ball came down. So it was quite a shock, temperature wise, and then less so when I went there, more so when I came back.
I was gonna. It's always
Went from
worse.
hot to cold,
It's always worse. I feel like on the way back.
It was
so.
it was pretty bad. But,
The skin just
yeah,
wrinkles up.
100%. Yeah, everything, yeah. But yeah, triple lifetime. It was great. I'm so glad that I ended up doing it. Set me back significant amount of money that I didn't have at the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for student loans. But yeah, no, definitely worth every minute of it.
Have you gone back there since to again revisit, or not?
They graduated and left, so that window closed. So no longer, which is I'm again another reason I'm glad I took the opportunity.
You always want to try, especially you always want to try to do those things, especially if you are given the opportunity and you're able to, because you never actually know when those things kind of come back, right?
100%. Like I could, we can, my wife and I and our son, we can take a trip back there now, but you won't stay at somebody's house. You won't know the area. You won't have somebody just familiar with everything that's there. Just kind of touring you around.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Now I want to get into a little bit about how you guys both kind of got involved with engineering and land development.
Sure. I'll take this one here. Actually, I in university I wanted to become a chemist. Okay. There's the old Heisenberg in me. It was. I liked chemistry for whatever reason in high school, and I also I like the sciences, physics, and math and whatnot. I was more on that side than on the artsy linguistic side. Which is where my sister ended up falling into. But I enjoyed chemistry, and I did my first year in general sciences, and then I thought, okay, let me dive into chemistry for my second year. Dove in and took organic chemistry, and quickly learned that that's not the life for me. I didn't.
It's honestly, that was the one I struggled with too. I'll be honest.
It is, It was interesting, but not something I could see myself doing forever. I'm not a laboratory kind of guy, so
you don't like to mix things.
Maybe I thought it was before, but I quickly realized that wasn't the opportunity for me.
Okay.
I kind of fell back to my love for physics and math, and there was an opportunity. I dove in and I did a little bit of kind of soul searching, and I figured out maybe civil engineering is the right path for me. So I jumped in and fell in love with the idea of land development, particularly. Just transferring raw land to fully established communities, self-sustaining communities was quite interesting for me. So I decided to embark on that journey, and here we are.
Was there somebody that kind of influenced you or like showed you the way for that, or it was just while you were kind of discovering or whatever, looking around? You're like,
my mother is an accountant and my father was a banker. So no. I guess we do have some engineers in the family. Not very many. Well, actually, my family. I have come from a large family. My father had 10 brothers and sisters. My mom had 6 brothers and sisters.
Oh wow.
And on my father's side, there's a lot of them are in the entertainment industry. So directors, producers, just things to do with that industry. So not many, but I do have a couple of uncles on my mother's side that are engineers. So maybe subconsciously they
led the way.
They led the way for me. But nobody that comes particularly to mind.
Cool.
Well, it's funny that you say that you wanted to get into land development, because I found it was one of those things that you go into engineering and you have no idea what engineers do, right? Especially in civil, it's like you build bridges and buildings, right? You have no idea. Like land development is this concept that you're really not exposed to. You really don't realize it's an industry. So for me, I one of my summer jobs towards I guess halfway through university started surveying, and I just realized, hey, I like this. I like this land development aspect, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm happy it worked out the way it did.
Awesome. Now, what roles and responsibilities? I guess we'll start with roles and positions, and then get into the responsibilities that you both currently hold.
Sure. So I'm our engineering lead in the Edmonton office. So on projects, I'm managing it. I always like to have the philosophy that if a client calls, I should be able to tell them what's going on a project and kind of know what's going on. I mean, realistically, you're stick handling quite a few projects at once, so you're not always getting into the nitty gritty, but it's just knowing what's going on, knowing where the status is, knowing what's happening on site, talking to the surveyors every day. That's kind of how my daily role.
What about yourself, Omar?
Similar to Lindsey's. Lindsey, I guess he's at least more so even recently, the last few years, he's obviously doing the corporate components of managing the office and stuff like that, that are above and beyond the day-to-day project stuff. Myself, I'm more on, so I'm a senior PM in the Edmonton office, and similar to what Lindsey, that was the reason why I think we ended up getting married a few years ago. There was a marriage in myself in the Edmonton office was, Lindsey and Jason at the time had built the office to a size and with a portfolio of projects that it was more than Lindsey needed to clone himself, essentially.
Yeah.
He needed to have another senior manager, senior project manager there to handle the workload. And that's what I provide. I oversee. We see our own team of clients and projects, and lead our diverse staff in getting the day-to-days done, and growing that portfolio.
Very cool. So when did you guys first meet then, and how did you guys first meet? Like, when did this partnership, I would say, or like you said, use the words marriage, when did that first begin? Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
It was, what was it? It was early, January 22.
January.
I think I was actually we were on a family holiday, I think, when a lot of, we kind of had a very brief meeting with you the first time, and then by the time I came back from holiday, you were in the office and ready to go, I think.
It happened quite quick. Well, actually, it wasn't that quick, but it happened, in terms of timeline, it happened fairly quickly. I met with Lindsey and with Jason a number of times, Rhea as well, who we saw here earlier today as well. It was just an opportunity. I was looking for, I came from my previous job was with a land developer in Edmonton. They were actually based out of Calgary with a satellite office in Edmonton, and I was managing the Edmonton portfolio of land that we had in Edmonton. And then Corona hit, and they were amalgamating their resources and wanted me to move to Calgary. And it was right around the time I just got married. We bought our first house with my wife, and I have aging parents, so, and in my culture, it's the oldest son's responsibility to care for the family. For the aging parents. So I couldn't leave. So there was there was a time where I had to make a hard choice. Like, okay, do I physically, go against all that, or do I try to find something here that's local? And happened to be that Aplin was looking, and I think that the fit was bang on. They were a smaller office looking to grow. They were looking for somebody with, my particular skill set to help them take on the portfolio of projects and just help grow the Edmonton office. And, in discussions with Lindsey and with Jason, and to see their vision of where they wanted to take the Edmonton office, it was just in line. So it was just an easy opportunity, or an easy fit, seamless. And 3.5 years later, I don't know where the time has gone, but
that's what I was going to say. It sounds like it works out pretty well to where you guys are now.
Well, and even to rewind things back a little further, I was the first one in Edmonton. So I was involved, picking out the office space, picking out the furniture, setting up the furniture. That was a really cool time. You don't get the opportunity to start something like that very often. I'm extremely fortunate to be in that position. And it was a really exciting time. The highs were high and the lows were low. But yeah, I mean, it's worked out pretty good.
Yeah. Well, let's start back there again. I think. Like,
Okay.
let's go rewind back to now again. Like you said, you were the first one
Yeah,
there, and you were able to do it.
yep.
Let's talk about again, I guess, the early years of that office, and then gradually, kind of throughout the years, so again, how you met Omar, and then now towards where we are current day.
Yeah, so I was at another consulting firm, and there was, like a lot in the industry, there was a lot of consolidation and that type of growth that was occurring. And Aplin came, and it was an opportunity where it was like, hey, this is kind of like what the consulting industry used to be like, where it isn't your giant mega corporations, but it's not like your one office locations either. I mean, you're kind of in this Goldilocks zone of the right size, the right agility, but still having all those technical resources, maybe not in our office, but across other offices.
Yeah.
So it made a lot of sense. And, over the years, there's definitely been a lot of really fun growth to watch. The sophistication it's drastically improved for the better. There was a time when, paperwork and getting things signed off is a bit of an annoyance, but I think now there's a bit more understanding for why some of those things happen the way they do. And yeah, I mean, I wake up every morning thinking I'm pretty lucky to have been a part of building a team.
Yeah. You guys still have that same furniture that you picked out, or was there any little renovations since then? A little bit of different touch now, maybe, from when you first.
It's your typical. Yeah, I mean, I walk into a lot of other offices, and it's the same furniture. It's like it's the generic office furniture.
Yeah.
Somebody's made billions off of that.
Yeah.
They've just, okay, we're going to
The
go
desks,
with
the
one
colors,
model, one model only.
Yeah.
And put it in offices all across the world.
That's funny. Now I want to get into the actual location itself in Edmonton itself again, because it's a little bit more, like you said before, I think you mentioned before, you took off when you were leaving in a plane in minus 25. Now it's not that, at least I'm from Toronto, maybe one day a year it'll get down that cold. Here it definitely doesn't get down.
The irony
at least
is it was pouring rain this morning when we left Edmonton, and we get here. It's absolutely stunning outside.
Yeah. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about what makes Edmonton itself, whether it's the weather, the culture, the terrain, like what makes that market unique in itself from a land development perspective. You guys start wherever you want.
It's not the weather for sure. The weather is just something we tolerate. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are winter people, and I get it. I'm not one.
You find ways to enjoy it, right?
That's Lindsey, I would say, is probably a lot more tolerant of the winter weather than I am. I hate shoveling snow, and I hate.
You need a big snowblower. Make it fun.
You know what? In the first house that me and my wife ended up buying when we first got married, had a driveway that was 150 feet long. So I needed a snowblower, or else I would have been shoveling for
days,
3 hours, especially on the days that we get a couple of feet, right? Which is quite normal in Alberta. So I had a snowblower for that, and it was quite convenient.
Yeah.
But the only problem with that is the driveway was gravel. So when I get too close, I'm shooting rocks at my neighbor's windows, which is not the best thing in the world. But so I just have to raise it up a little bit.
But I mean, to get back to your question, I mean, what makes Edmonton unique? It's really a market that is at the cusp of a fairly significant change. We're seeing a lot of multifamily, which hasn't always been the case. So there's been a lot of growing pains with the city figuring out how to facilitate this and the different mechanisms for offsites and cost sharing. So that's been the historic growth pays for growth greenfield mechanism isn't really applicable in that type of setting. So we've been doing quite a bit of multifamily. We've really got that figured out. But I mean, the other reality is, Edmonton still is a very greenfield type of development. Is incredibly common.
Yeah.
There aren't many barriers, and it allows a really nice community development, and you can have backyards. It's for a very reasonable price, right? I mean, it's when you look at what housing costs have done here the last handful of years, we're still in a market where, yes, it's certainly increased, but it's still affordable.
Yeah.
And that's, we're very fortunate to be in that position.
Yeah, and you're almost, yeah, exactly. You're able to have that luxury that you may not have in these larger metropolitan cities.
Yeah.
And to play off of that comment, actually, that's, historically, that's how Edmonton has been. But with every booming demographic, you have to plan for your future. So Edmonton has actually been, for the last probably, I would say, decade maybe or so, been looking at, okay, well, what are the challenges that we have with urban sprawl? And it's just like any other community or demographic that sees that. It's rising costs of infrastructure, upkeep, maintenance, your services that you need to give, like your basic necessities.
Yeah.
Fire, hospitals. The typical service that you provide in any community. And it gets expensive when you do urban sprawl. So in the last decade, there's been a prevalent voice in city council and city administration for infill development, utilizing the existing urban zone within Edmonton and building vertical. So we have a very diverse team, very experienced team in Edmonton, not only with the greenfield community development that we've traditionally done, but also with the site development that comes with infill, multifamily, commercial, industrial, whatever the built form happens to be.
Yeah.
And there are definitely programs in place that are both federal, provincial, and municipal level that are helping developers get into that infill space. There's an infill infrastructure fund program that city just launched last year that we have. I personally have 3 projects that fit within that criteria, and we've applied. One of them has gotten the maximum funding that's allowable under that program, $4 million to help with offsite infrastructure costs.
Yeah.
And it's been very successful, and everybody's attempting to. There's certain criteria you have to abide by, obviously, to qualify for it. But many developers are taking the opportunity to take advantage of something like that. I think over the last maybe 5 years or so, you've seen a lot of developers in Edmonton open up a division that just handles infill by itself.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's a development that form there that's, I think, is going to, alongside the community development and urban sprawl, is going to be prevalent in providing homes for the migration that we continually see every year into Alberta.
Yeah, and you're not going to be able to jump ahead from that problem, right? But it is nice to actually see that there are these challenges ahead. Are there any more that you guys foresee right now? And then how do you guys position yourselves, whether it's, again, within your team out there, to kind of tackle these problems head on?
Well, I mean, I think what we're seeing a lot of right now, and we've kind of positioned ourselves to take advantage of it, is a lot of large-scale master planned infill, where there are a lot of underutilized mall sites, or a lot of development from the late '60s, early '70s it's at the end of its lifespan, and you're seeing that type of development happen, and we've been very fortunate to be a part of a couple very large ones. So we're gonna see more and more of that, and hope to keep getting more and more of that too.
Absolutely.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we're building a name for ourselves in the industry. There's guys, when you think of like community development and greenfield development, you think of the WSPs, you think of the Stantec's, the guys that just handle these things on a giant industrial level that are just, A, B, C, D. This is how they kind of perform through the development process, and they're just known for doing that type of work. And then there's guys that do maybe smaller stuff, but I think we found a niche internally that we not that we don't do other stuff, but I think for infill development, like Lindsey had mentioned, the mall stuff, I think we have 3 or 4 projects that are on that. And there's not many projects that exist like that in Edmonton. So it seems to be that most of them come to us, and I think the word of mouth is getting out there that we are the guys that kind of do this. So very exciting to to be able to see that growth and that niche being built within our office. But it just goes into, we've been knocking that door for many years and trying to grow that part of a business accordingly. So it's just nice to see the fruits of the labor, right?
Yeah. And once again, like you said before, once you have the experience of doing one, again, it just gives you the confidence and then being able to grow the efficiency within your team to make the second and third, and like you said, the fourth one even better. Is there something that you look for when you're building, like you said, obviously the size of your office has increased from when you first started to where it is now. And the scale of the projects have definitely increased from then to now, and the number of them. Is there something that you look for specifically when you're building these teams and when you're looking to hire as now one of the leaders of the office?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have a lot of people with us that have been there for 5-6 years who are, entering that point in their career where, they're ready for a lot more responsibility, a lot more, working with people underneath them to, do the detailed work. And, we want to make sure that those team members are in the position where they can continue their professional growth. So, we're looking right now, kind of backfilling spaces with junior and entry level roles just to facilitate the career growth of some of the phenomenal staff that we have. And it's pretty cool to see these people over the course of, since some of them right out of school and where they came from and where they are now. It's quite rewarding.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I got to give kudos to Lindsey here because the diversity of the team that we have in our office, I can't say we have two people with a similar personality because we don't. We have varying personalities on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it just somehow seems to work.
Remember the Breakfast Club?
That's funny.
Yeah, bang on that. It's, you got all sorts of personality types, but they just get along. And at the end of the day, they understand what the bottom line is. And and I think, we give them the rope that they need in order to do what they do and let them sink when they need to sink. But we'll never let them sink. We just, let them figure things out for themselves. And just develop, as Lindsey was saying, now you got to refill the bottom that cabinet space that's empty for them to be able to develop and continue growing their careers, and then we can launch the new group
that comes in. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Now, looking at it from the other side, how has having a director helped kind of improve the flow of knowledge and the collaboration, not only that you guys have in Edmonton, but then obviously with the Calgary, Vancouver, and then I've worked with people out of your office as well out in Toronto that have helped us on projects too, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's been a very large change, but it's been a very good change. Every office has kind of opened up a little bit differently. The formula is kind of tweaked and new things were tried. Edmonton was a little bit different where, when Calgary opened or when Toronto opened, certain people were relocated there, and we never had that. So there was kind of a bit of a colony mindset for the handful of years where we were kind of, left on our own.
Yeah.
And while that was good for a lot of reasons, developing that consistency across what we do was very much needed. So with having Ben as a director, it's really, it's provided a pile of consistency across the various offices that he's been overseeing. And I mean, and it's also, it's not just Ben, right? It's the entire leadership change that we've seen over the last couple of years here with Maggie, with David, with Derek. It's really been a pretty substantial culture shift, but one that was needed and one that has been just really good to see, and it's been really good to be a part of it.
What about yourself, Omar? Do you see anything different with that sort of stuff?
Definitely different. Yeah. I just shared, like, there was a point in time when Lindsey would walk by my office or I would walk by his, they'd be like, another administrative change, hey? And they're like, okay, we got this new spreadsheet that we got to fill out, or this new thing that we got to handle differently than we did before. It was very siloed in the previous regime. where the new leadership position has been streamline. One company approach, and catering and being cognizant to the fact that every office is diverse enough that it's going to have their own challenges and their own kind of processes. But in the grand scheme of things, like this is kind of a box you have to fit within, which when you're going from a completely different system to that system, at the very beginning, it's not difficult, but it's administratively challenging. But yeah, once you cross that hurdle, then the level of expectation is across the board.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what they kind of need to shoot for, and
It allows you to focus also on other things as well,
100%,
right? When you
100%.
put
You don't
more
have to-
energies towards.
Exactly. You don't have to worry about how do we sign off, or what's a project authorization for this proposal going to look like from a legal perspective, because now we have general counsel that's looking at this and saying, well, this ties into insurance and this ties into a whole whack of other things that we need to make sure that they all abide by those rules or within that framework. So your proposal has to have A, B, and C in order for it to qualify, because every office deals with delinquent clients, and it's a fact of the business.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But it's nice. It's difficult at the beginning, but once you get past those hurdles, then it's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we've kind of found the real comfortable middle ground on that stuff too, right? I mean, because it's really easy to take that and go way too far, and all you do is spend all day just dealing with spreadsheets that
Documents
one person reports to another, building another spreadsheet, reporting to another.
Yeah.
And we've really found that middle ground. It's been very efficient. I mean, I'd say now, like, things are, despite having more spelled out processes, the efficiency is actually increased as a result of it. So it's been, like I said earlier, I mean, it's been just a great change, and I think it's going to facilitate a lot more growth.
Yeah.
And consistency.
Well, that's where I'd like to go next then. Like you said, facilitate growth. What does the vision look like for the Edmonton market and for your office, and what kind of opportunities are you guys looking for, again, in the Edmonton area and around into the future?
Yeah, so I mean, I think similar to what we were just talking about, we do have a lot of really talented staff that are at that point in their career where they can handle a lot more responsibility, and it's empowering them to make that leap. It's always, one of the most challenging things that we go through is passing off work to someone else and trusting them to actually do the work that you were doing yourself. That's that's always been a challenge in what we do. But we've just developed some really great people who, it's time for them to take more prominent roles and continue their professional growth.
Very cool.
Yeah, agreed. I think just now it's the work hasn't stopped. We've been doing it. We've been planting seeds for the last number of years. Myself speaking, since I joined with Aplin and Lindsey, since he formed the office.
Since I picked out the paint.
And the desks and all of that. You have him to thank.
Don't let this guy redecorate your office. It looks like the office, like the show. But yeah, I don't blame you. He's an engineer, so that's not our specialty.
Interior design, keep it off his list. Don't put it on his resume.
We're the safety, it's a very safe office. Yeah. But not the most aesthetically pleasing.
Well, I mean, the colors are exactly the same as what's upstairs here. It's the same carpet. It's the same colors. It's
another engineer designed the one upstairs.
Yeah.
Apparently. So it's we're just we're starting to see the fruits of our labor coming into play. We've been trying to grow our land development portfolio for a long time, and there's seeds that we've been planting for multiple years that are just starting to come to fruition.
Yep.
Where in Edmonton, it's a unique market because it's, as much as competitive tender comes into play, there's a lot of relationship-based relationships that happen between developers and consultants. And there's guys like, I'll give you an example. When I was at Hopewell, I was the developer for 6 years, and I hired Stantec to do all our work. And that was just because the previous regime had done all Stantec. And when I asked my superiors, it's like, yep, Stantec is the way to go. Why? Because that's just what it was had. They know how to get things done, and they do it correctly. And if things mess up, then we have a wide window that we can kind of work within. So that's just how it went. And there's a lot of that in Edmonton. Legacy stuff that's been 30 years in the making. So trying to get in with a land developer is very difficult in Edmonton. I presume it's very different than what we experience here in Surrey or Vancouver or other demographic and offices that we do business in. But Edmonton is quite unique in that regard.
Well, the project sizes are just that much larger, right?
Oh,
when you're developing, especially in the greenfield sense, you're developing a court. Realistically, it's usually a full section.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could have even your larger developers are, that's a 15, 25 year build out.
Yeah.
So it's
You generally stick with the consultant that started it for you, that did the master planning, got you to where you need to go, and then phase by phase you can proceed through. But anyway, the point is there are those relationships that we're trying to break through, and they're very difficult to. And just recently we've had one with a couple of actually developers that they're giving us opportunities now. That something for whatever reason, there's a relationship that's been soured in their previous consultant where they're giving us a chance, and it's fantastic because that's all we ask for is a chance to prove what we can offer. And what we offer, Lindsey mentioned this earlier, is we're at that Goldilocks size where we can offer a full breadth of service that comes with a larger consultancy, but within the level of service of a small office. So we provide the best of both worlds. You can. All my developers, all my clients know that they can call me at any given time of the day, on the weekends even, and I'll answer your phone call, and I'll give you an answer, or if I can't give you an answer, I'll give you an answer as soon as I can. Very short. I'll find out the answer for that, and that's just a level of service that you just can't provide with the Stantecs and the bigger guys, the WSPs of the world. But we still have the knowledge of and the resources of those larger corporations that we can do a multitude of services that are encapsulated in the land development world that require civil, survey, planning, architecture, and all the other disciplines that we offer internally. So it's nice to see that come to fruition.
Awesome. Now, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the projects and stuff that you guys have worked on in the past? What's the most unique one that I guess each of you have worked on within the Edmonton area or Alberta area, and why?
So, I mean, this one's really easy for me. I've been involved. It's been a long project. It was one that we started out in 2018. So it's been kicking around the office for 5-6 years now. It's finally starting to wind down. But it was the Mount Carmel Spiritual Center in Parkland County. It's this large religious building, underground parking. It has like a pedestrian bridge to a guest house, like a 3 or 4 story apartment type thing.
Okay.
And we're talking like this is in the middle of. There's nothing like it around. I mean, it's surrounded by farms and acreages. And what made this project really unique was it's on a former ski hill.
Okay.
So, and there's obviously not a lot of ski hills in the area. So because of the required setback from the range road, the building had to be pushed back. Like the building pocket had to be pushed back from the road quite a bit, which overlapped with the ski hill. So on our grading plan, we had cuts of like 18 meters.
Oh, wow.
Which you just don't see.
Yeah, like you're going straight down.
Yeah, like I remember after the guys staked it out, and I'm walking up there looking at these stakes and seeing like cuts of like 17.6 meters.
Are you sure that number is right?
It's just like this is really hard to grasp. Like it was a lot of dirt that was moved, but it was the only way to do it.
It was an expensive grading program.
It was absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
Yourself?
Yeah, I guess, you could have I've done a ton of various different projects from land development, even some not-for-profit stuff that I think would be cliche and kind of fit within this category. But I'd say the most unique and interesting one that I did, and this wasn't in my time at Aplin, this was, I was previously, earlier on in my career, I started in consultancy and then moved over to developer and then came back into consulting. But it was with a previous consultant that I'd worked with, Associated Engineering in Edmonton. And the project, we ended up winning one project through the city of Edmonton, and then we became kind of a niche consultant for it, and we won two more after that for snow storage facilities within the city of Edmonton. So super unique. Like, it's not your typical municipal job that you have, and it comes with certain intricacies and stakeholders that are vastly different than what you normally experience in the municipal engineering realm. Those I think were quite cool and interesting projects to work on, and I still show them in my resume in case there's ever, and we peruse all the different sites that the post public RFPs for projects, and I've never run across one that was for snow storage facilities yet. But when it does come,
you'll be ready.
And I'm gonna walk by to Lindsey's office and I'll be like, we got it. And then we're gonna smash that.
I hope I'll never have to deal with one of those, at least in Toronto snow storage facility.
Yeah, I guess.
Go back home, we don't have to deal with any of those.
Well, you guys are unique in the type of, like, you guys use a ton of, is it salt or sodium chloride? Well, I guess that is salt. But, but there's another chloride. I forget what the chemical.
That's why you didn't finish that.
There you go.
That's just organic chemistry.
Wait, NaCl, that's sodium chloride. That's just salt. It's like double hydrogen, oxygen. Bang on. That's why I didn't continue with that. But you guys. So part and parcel of the snow storage facilities here was to deal with the leachate that came from the salts and whatnot that they used through the snow clearing programs in the various arterial roads in Edmonton. Just the methodology and all the different components that played into it was quite unique from any other municipal job that I've ever done.
Yeah, very cool.
So I've done one of those too.
Really?
Yeah, that's and I mean I remember going there about a year after, so like the first year in operation, and it was about just 6 feet of sand and gravel over all my delicate grading plan, and it was like,
they destroy those sites quite easily.
It was like, this worked good for 1 year, but unless you guys clean it up, it's just going to be a mound of sand.
You have to hard surface it. We found that out. Our first iteration was that it was a graveled or whatever site, and they quickly found out that layer just gets destroyed with all the equipment that's on there.
Well, in Toronto, all we usually do is just pile it up and hope nobody gets stuck on it. That's what they do. So
there's a solution, I guess. I don't know.
Now, just another question for you guys is: what was the biggest learning lesson that you guys have ever had on a project? One that you always remember and that you always pass down to, say, younger staff, because again, from your experience, I'd be like, okay, this is something to always look out for. This I'll never forget for the rest of my career, and I know now to always look out for this one thing just in case it happened.
Yeah, I remember being at a site meeting years ago, and it was a contractor who I'd never worked with, and up until that point, I'd worked with some really great contractors who understood like the politics of, we're all in this together. Let's not make life difficult, because if person A makes life difficult for person B, then it's just gonna.
Then it goes to C and D.
Then it's just it's what's the point here? So this the project manager from this contractor in front of there's people from the city there, the client, just kind of the entire project team, the other contractors who were involved, and they started asking these incredibly nuanced questions like, what type of insulation goes around the valve casings? Stuff like that. Like, I don't, you're a contractor, where the standards are. Like, that's not,
correct,
this isn't really a design thing. Like, this is,
we're not quizzing each other here.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
We really had to ask these type of things. Like, we have to be generalists, right? Like, in what we do, we have to know a little bit of planning. We have to know a little bit of survey. We can't be bogged down in details about what type of insulation that stuff's available. You can look that up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was one of those lessons learned. I've refused to work with that contractor since. I'm a little bit bitter about that one. But it's one of those that, that lesson, you tell other staff that, hey, look, don't be afraid to push back on questions like that. Don't be afraid. You don't have to answer every question. You can always just, I'll look into it. You don't have to try to make up an answer. Yeah.
It's okay to not know what you
It's
don't
okay
know.
to not, you can't know everything.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Yeah, ask questions. Ask questions. That's another one that we could.
Just not those type of questions.
Yeah, no, not those types of questions. But like, just in generally, like, there's no such thing as a bad question or a dumb question.
Yeah.
When you're, a junior engineer coming into the industry and just trying to learn. Lessons learned. Oh man, they're endless. There's so many different ones. Let's see, one that kind of sticks in my head. So this was in my second year of engineering. I got a summer job as a rodsman with a friend of mine who graduated a few years before me, but we were friends from high school and family friends as well. And he got me a job as a rodsman. He was a crew chief, and I was his rodsman doing survey on some sites. And it's funny, we were doing a job with Park Paving, was a contractor. And we laid it out, the sidewalk, a meter off where it was supposed to be. And for whatever reason, nobody caught it from the contractor side. There's different levels of checks that guys can kind of, an experienced contractor, and Park Paving is one, would have noticed that. But nobody caught it, and they built it in the wrong place. And, when they figured it out, there was a bunch of finger pointing, and the blame's laid squarely on my employer, the people that we had hired, and me and my friend were, fired, obviously, for lack of a better term.
We were let go. Yes.
We were let go. Not surprising.
Yes.
Completely get it, and I would have probably did the same thing had I been in their shoes at that time. Major mess up, and there was some financials that were obviously tied into that, fixing that. So I'm not surprised that happened. The funny part of it is Park Paving is one of my clients now. They don't know the story, and if they're watching, don't
redact.
We're talking about something else. But yeah, double check your work. Always double check your work. I was a rodsman at the time. It wasn't my job. I was just told, go left, go right, put it here.
Yeah.
Nail a lath in the ground, right. C 0.39 on it.
Yeah.
But it's still, there should have been a little bit more of that regard. And you could either put it on me, you could put it on the crew chief, you could put it on the project manager. There's many different layers that should have been caught at. It wasn't. It is what it is. A good learning lesson, and something I would definitely pass on to junior staff is double check your work. Make sure everything is, if it looks off, ask questions. Don't just assume that it's
Let me guess, I'm guessing the road wasn't centered in the right of way, and you did like a center line offset from the center line of the right of way.
I don't recall
because I've seen that happen before.
Fair enough. Probably. I don't. Yeah, it's so long ago. I don't recall exactly the details of it. I just know the eventuality.
Yeah,
and that was
But it is funny that you mentioned that Paver X now when you're. It's it just shows how small the industry is, and it actually is. You never want to, like you said before, that certain individual that was asking or being difficult for some reason is like. You don't the industry is smaller than what everybody thinks, right? So you never really want to kill any sort of relationships or crush anything. Very small.
And we're just actually talking about this upstairs. There was a major move in our industry with a competitor of ours, and we were just talking about it. Lindsey just mentioned, like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I really need to know. I'm curious as to what had happened." He's a big wig at a competitor, and with 30 years of roots, and he was high up there, and he just moved. We don't know the particulars of what had happened, but word gets around, and there's no 6 degrees of separation in our industry. It's like 2 at best.
Well, I almost want to change my answer now because I think I have some survey layout errors that I've made or have seen made that but it's always been catch basins.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Face a curb, lip a gutter.
That's a constant culprit. That's what I mean. Like the list is of things you can.
Yeah. Well, we used to have like the easy test of like dropping a pail in a catch basin to see, as long as the pail would fit down the catch basin, it would be okay if you would stagger the rings. But that's
Those are old standards. I don't know that apply to.
There's no, it's no longer the case anymore. It's a bit more picky, but yeah, I mean the amount of catch basin rings that are staggered in the city because of someone goofing face the curb versus lip a gutter. They're all over the place.
Just something to keep in mind when you're looking around. That's funny. Now I'll end off with this one here. And again, you guys have mentioned the great team that you kind of that you guys are continuing to grow and that you currently have out in Edmonton with you guys, and again the market and all of that. What part of your job keeps you coming back and keeps you motivated and keeps you wanting to work where you guys currently are and looking towards the future?
I mean, it's fun getting up every morning and going to work. It's to have been a part of like building something, and after a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of very high highs and very low lows, to start to see it come together the way it has. It's very exciting. It's like I mentioned earlier, seeing people really hit their stride in their career and seeing them evolve from when they started. It's very rewarding.
It's a good mentorship moment, especially Lindsey's had his mentors, I've had mine, and their way of mentoring us was probably fairly different. I know for a fact that
Why do you say that?
We've talked about this before, because Lindsey can talk more about this, but my guy was more of the role that actually I like to instill on my mentees, is give them everybody's a professional, unless they prove to you otherwise. So you give them the reins and you give them enough rope to be able to you lay out your very detailed tasks or end game. This is what I need. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So you give them the end game and say, this is what I want. This is my deliverable. This is what I need you to get. I don't care how you get there, as long as you're within this framework. And I don't have to teach you engineering. You know engineering. I don't have to teach you some of these other things. And I'll guide you throughout the process. But you're an adult and you're responsible. You're a professional. Go do what you need to do. And they'll go and do that. And, I'll check in every once in a while and I'll see how they're doing. And I'll let them get far enough where they're, independent, but not far enough where they're sinking.
Yeah.
And that's what my mentor did for me. And I found it a great way to develop. So, I'm not going to say I do it exactly the same way that my mentor did it for me, or my mentors that I had growing up. But I've taken, the best of, as I see it, from all worlds, and I've combined that into a style that I like to exhibit. I know Lindsey's is significantly different from how his mentor brought him along, and maybe you want to speak to that, Lindsey. But.
No, it was a little bit different. I mean, I was more. I had a lot of freedom to do to go the direction I wanted to go on things, and taking a lot of tasks that I had to struggle a little bit to figure out how to do it.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire. But you know what? It worked very good. But I mean, I think what you start to realize is everyone is a little bit different. Some people work in that system. Some need to be guided a lot more, and it's trying to understand how to make the most of the people who are working with you, and setting them up for success.
Yeah, I agree. And he's just being humble here. I know. Like there was times when he's like, back in there, he used to spend hours and weekends just trying to figure out a problem because you don't want to bother the PM for. But you know what? It made him the man he is today. So and vice versa. I think there's different personalities require different styles, but like within that framework. But I generally seem to think that framework works well with how I like to mentor people, and I always ask them when we're in there, I'm like, this is the style that I do it. If this doesn't work for you, let me know, and we can adjust accordingly. Because we do have we mentioned this earlier, we do have a diverse personality spectrum in our office, some people that need less hand-holding and some people that need more. So.
Yeah, find the strengths of each individual and play 100%. To them.
Absolutely,
100%.
Well, That's all we have for today. I'd like to thank Omar and Lindsey for joining us and sharing your knowledge and stories and all of your experience. Thanks to our listeners of the workshop. Stay tuned for our next episode and have a great day.